Do you want to have this?
What are you doing, little beastie boy?
Plan was, and you had it planned. But
What? Budge? 3, 2, 1. We are now live from New York City. It's really hot.
the sun's like shining on you. Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unbland Podcast. I'm Isaiah.
I'm Jade.
And this is the Unbland Podcast.
Okay, today's episode we're going to talk about our wedding and how we planned it and how it happened in 2020, which is the COVID year. So,
The year of COVID.
yeah. Alright, so we're going to talk about like what our plan was, like right when we first got engaged, and we kind of talked about it like before, so we kind of were like,
Well, first I wanted to go to California and do it on a beach somewhere.
yeah. Well, we had a lot of ideas. I wanted to get married in like Yosemite. Then that was gonna be too hard with like grandparents getting there. It'd be too expensive and hard to just find a place. And so we're like, eh. And then.
Well, because first it was like people would have to fly into like LA or San Francisco, and then they would have to drive on top of that to Yosemite.
Yeah,
and then it was like we could just do it at a beach, and people could just fly in and not have to drive anywhere.
Mhm. And then. I don't even know how it evolved to where we actually got married, which was Sedona, Arizona. We had taken a trip there, like...
November?
No, it was like... So, we got married in November, and so it was like actually a year before that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. It was the end of November. I forgot. Sorry. That we had been there, and so we really liked the area. The scenery is pretty... And it would be like a new place for both of our families to kind of hang out and get to explore. So we decided on there, and Isaiah found like a state park that was super cheap, and it had the red rocks, like the pretty red rocks of Sedona, and it was in a field, like an apple field.
Apple orchard.
Yeah.
Sorry. A field of apples. Well, like at first, there's a place called Bell Rock, which is just like open like hiking trails, and I was like, oh, we could just have it like really tiny, and just like basically like an elopement there. And then I like started looking more and more, and to do it at a state park, at the Oakley's like sucking on my toes right now. To do it at a state park was like $175 or something like that. Plus, you could rent chairs and tables, and they would like deliver them and set them up. And they ended up like running power cords for us, and they were just super accommodating. And that was the Slide Rock State Park. So
Yeah.
check them out.
Yeah, it was and it's super nice because it was like from Flagstaff, which is where all of our family and friends stayed. It was like a 30-minute drive from the state park, and it wasn't even a hike. Like people just literally walked, like parked and walked.
It was a paved trail.
So it was just super nice and exactly what we needed, and there were a lot of people at the park, but we still felt I felt secluded and stuff, like.
Yeah, because when the wedding ended and we went to take pictures, we went down to the river and there was
And that's
like
where
1,000
everyone
people
was,
there.
yeah. But it was also like freezing. So that was like our plan, and then like that's how we got to Sedona. And then right when we got engaged, we flew out to Indiana to see Isaiah's family, and I was just like in wedding planning mode. Every single day I was there, I was like planning something, I was figuring something out, and we had like no budget pretty much. I think I can hear it in the background.
You'll hear a little Oakley growl in the background.
I think our budget was like $2,000, which is nothing considering like photography and.
Basically, I knew that budget was gonna go to. I knew that budget was gonna go to the photography.
Well, yeah, because I'm a wedding photographer, and that's when I imagined our wedding. I imagined like where we're gonna take pictures and what the pictures are gonna look like and all of that stuff. And so I had to get a lot of things planned just because we'd figured out a date, we figured out a location, and then we figured out a photographer and all that stuff. And that was done within like a week after we got engaged, which is crazy. And then this is a story for another time, but I already had my wedding dress, and so that was like a big thing that I didn't have to worry about. I don't worry about like paying for, which is like relieving. So yeah, that was all planned super fast. And then our lead up to the wedding. Okay. I just missed a big part. So whenever we were in the middle of planning, we're trying to figure out who we were going to invite. And I wanted to like quote unquote elope just because it's less stressful, like not a ton of money, and it would just like be a really relaxing day. And my goal for our wedding was for me not to be stressed out, because there was one time my sister said like, I'm not excited for when Jade gets married because she's going to be bridezilla, because I get stressed out so easily just about like random crap. And so I was like, yeah, I just don't really want a lot of people there. But then Isaiah was like giving me a bunch of people he wanted to invite, because Isaiah's really social and like cares about everyone. Not that I don't care about anyone.
You heard it here, folks.
Stop. It was just like, I just wanted it to be like super close people. And so our wedding list was like crazy. Like 200 people, like Isaiah and me combined. And I was like, absolutely not, we're not doing that. So that's how we were like, okay, well, we're going to have a small wedding, and then that was fine, and it was, yeah. But we still wanted people to be involved. And so before our wedding, we had parties. So we had like a big wedding party where like we invited pretty much everyone that we ever knew to come and like buy stuff off our registry, hang out with us, and just spend like time with us, which was really, really fun. I really liked that. And then I had like a bridal party kind of thing with like a lot of my girlfriends, and it was just really fun because I had friends from like Washington and Texas come, and I always felt really loved, and that was like fun. Why are you making that face? Do you remember what I'm talking about? The panty party?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we still had people involved even though not everyone was actually at our wedding. So like we said before, budget was super non-existent actually. And so, I mean, like every woman has this Pinterest board of wedding stuff and wedding decorations that they want, and so like you pin them, but then as soon as you actually go into it and like you look at what you pinned, it's like $1,000 for something that's super cheap. So me and my sister made a lot of our stuff, pretty much everything that we possibly could, to save a bunch of money. And so I wanted it to be stuff that we could be used for house decorations, and so a lot of the things that we used for our big party, the bridal party, my panty party thing, whatever you want to call it, we used for the wedding, and we used in decorations for our house, which was super nice. Recommend that if you are able to, because it's just the same aesthetic. Like everything was the same color scheme, and I don't know, I liked that a lot. And then we were doing premarital counseling when we were engaged, and it's my pastor and his wife here in Albuquerque, and so they walked through a book with us, and he ended up marrying us. But it was just a lot of crazy stuff that happened like 2 weeks before our wedding. So we had done like counseling like 2-3 months before our wedding, but then New Mexico has stupid crazy rules. another reason why we didn't want to get married here in New Mexico is because everything was so
There was like a
restricted.
mandatory 2-week quarantine if you flew into here.
Yeah, even if like you drove and like you were gone for like
Mhm.
barely any time out of the state, you had to still have to quarantine. And so he didn't want to do that if he went to Arizona to do our wedding.
He was gonna have to preach that Sunday.
Yeah, literally the next day after our wedding. And so he called the county of where we were getting married and called that place and asked if he could marry us over Zoom and so or over FaceTime or whatever. And they said yes. So he married us over Zoom. So on our wedding photos there's just a little iPad there and that's my pastor. And he married us through that. So that was pretty crazy.
You know where we were?
Yeah.
Okay. And go.
So we.
Sorry.
This
that
is
was
like
right.
the leading up to. Yeah. So this is leading up to the actual wedding day. Isaiah went out a couple days early, and he had like his family was already there in Arizona, and so they all met up and went to.
So we went to Lake Powell. I picked my brothers up from Flagstaff, and we went up and met my best friend Kyle Rourke and another buddy in Lake Powell. I don't remember what the town is. Chandler, maybe? I don't remember. But then the next morning when we woke up, we ended up kayaking to Antelope Canyon, which was really cool. Just like kayaking through this like slot canyon, and then eventually we got out and hiked through it a little bit, which was really cool because I never thought I would ever be able to do that. But we did that, and then what happened? Did we go? Then we went to Flagstaff the next day, and Kyle and I got a hotel and chilled, or Airbnb and chilled. And I'll talk about, so we had our rehearsal dinner.
Oh.
And,
okay.
And so my parent, can I go there?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
No, go for it.
So my parents had offered to pay for the rehearsal dinner, which is very amazing of them. But my mom had picked out a restaurant, or we had.
No, we had. Well, there was just we didn't know what restrictions and like how many groups of people we could, so we called a lot of restaurants. But
so my mom had picked one out, and then like literally like hours or before it was supposed to happen, she calls the restaurant to like double check to make sure that we can do our rehearsal dinner, and they're like, oh no, we had to close because a bunch of staff had gotten COVID.
Yeah, like as she's on the phone, the lady's like, "We're evacuating right now."
Yeah, so my mom started to freak out a little bit and found this new restaurant, but it was like
It was literally right across the street.
It was across the street, but it was like a bar, a brand new like sports bar. So we had our rehearsal dinner in like this sports bar, but it was pretty cool.
It was actually really nice because it was brand new, and we had this whole section to ourselves. And so we were all able to like sit close together, which was really nice. But yeah, that was a little crazy.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so Isaiah had his little guys trip, and me, my sister, and the rest of my bridesmaids, we went to our Airbnb and we made our flowers. Nikki, who is my pastor's wife, she came and she brought all of the flowers, and so we made all of our bouquets, which was super fun and super relaxing, and I wanted everything to be really relaxing for me. And so since we were all choosing from the same flowers, everyone's bouquet was unique, but it was all they all matched together, and I don't know, it was just super fun. So then I went to bed so early the night of our wedding.
The night before our wedding.
The night before our wedding, yeah.
Not the night.
And so then we got up, and all of my bridesmaids made this really cute like book with pictures and letters, and it made me cry.
They did it that night?
Yeah, so they stayed up until like super late at night,
I
making this book. Because there was no other time that they were all together, so they all had to bring in letters and pictures and stuff, and so they made this like kind of scrapbook thing, and they showed that to me like the night or the morning of the wedding, and that was super nice. And they prayed over me, and that was just super fun. So, and then we got ready, and we drove out there, and we
I
got
went
married.
out early to set up. And so the biggest thing was because we had an iPad, we were like having to run power cords to like a building that was like a couple 100 feet away maybe, and like figure out, do we just like set the microphone at the base of the iPad so people could hear it, or like all this stuff. So it was a little chaotic. And then our chef shows up.
Oh yeah.
And I hadn't even thought about it, but it's Arizona and it's like a state park, and they were in fire restrictions, and so he couldn't have like the chafing, that's what they're called, I'm pretty sure. He couldn't have like an open flame, and so he had brought like a backup. It's called a sous vide, which basically you're cooking your food in boiling water basically, and he had brought that as a backup, and that's electric, so they like let him do that. So he's like stooped over, like before the wedding, he's like stooped over this little tiny like thing cooking all of our food, and I felt bad because later when we actually got to eat it, it was cold.
Well, and that's not his fault. It's because
no.
it was like negative 50 degrees because it was so cold.
So we went through it, washed each other's feet,
Yeah.
then took the family pictures.
We did a first like touch thing. I forgot about that. So I had to wait like by the restrooms. I could see Isaiah like setting everything up, and that was like super cute. He was really far away, so it's not like I saw him. But so I'm like waiting in this field, and then Isaiah comes up, and we had written letters, and so we read that to each other before, and we had our backs to each other. It was super nice.
I had to write mine that morning.
Yeah. So yeah, we washed each other's feet, and then
During our family photos after we got married, it started to like get a little windy and chilly.
Oh, yeah.
Like that morning it was like chilly, but it's in the mountains, so like that was expected. But like it warmed up. It was nice for our ceremony.
Yeah.
And then during our family photos, it started to get pretty windy and chilly. And so
Once we finished the photos and we sat down,
it was
because everyone
bad.
else had eaten at that point and we hadn't even eaten, so we got down and like sat at our table, and I was stoked because it was tacos and it was from Chef Ben, and I knew they were gonna be so good. But I was freezing. I was miserable. Like
Our photographer's like teeth were chattering.
I felt so bad.
I'm pretty sure my dad gave her his coat, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And like we did some speeches and
Well, we had a lot of things planned. Like we were gonna do like first dances. We didn't dance with each other. We didn't dance with like.
Yeah, we literally just did
anyone.
speeches and dipped. But like during the speeches, like you could barely hear because the wind was in the microphone and it was just so windy.
Yeah.
And it was starting to get pretty cloudy, and we were kind of worried. And so like we were like, we're just gonna cut the cake and be done.
Yeah, we were like, bye. But I remember looking at the weather like I think
It was like back and forth.
It said it was gonna snow, it said it was gonna rain, it said like all these things, and it did not snow or rain the entire wedding. It snowed and rained like a little bit at the end of our photos, like afterwards.
Yeah, it was like sleeting a tiny bit.
But I'm just glad that it didn't like pour rain, because I had brought like some umbrellas just in case we needed to, but I'm just grateful for that. Like it was freezing and windy, but it wasn't like we had to like evacuate kind of thing. So that was good. But yeah, it was so cold. But we did a bubble exit with our everyone that was there, and it was really fun. Yeah, so we're like bye, and we went and took our photos. And it was just a really relaxing way to end everything, because we were just with the photographer and we actually got to spend time together and just be married and just soak in the awe of it, which was, I thought was sweet, even though my hands were really falling off. And I brought this cardigan because I knew it was going to be chilly, so I brought a lot of like accessories.
But you had to keep taking it off.
I kept having to take it off, yeah. Just because my dress was super nice and it had like those, it had those sleeves that draped off my shoulder. And so Julia, our photographer, like wanted those in the photos, and I don't blame her, but I was like, Julia, I'm literally going to freeze to death. It's so cold. But the photos turned out freaking amazing, more than what I could have hoped for, and it's just, I'm so grateful for that. So then from our wedding, we get in the car, and we had planned this like months before. We're like, what are we gonna eat after the wedding? And we're like, Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
So we drive from Sedona to Phoenix, and the first hotel that we stayed in was, well, the hotel, when we booked it, it was super nice.
It was
But
super
we
nice.
had no idea that it was connected to a casino. And it was a non-smoking casino, which, that's good. But
There's still an interesting group of people
yeah,
that
just hang out.
choose to spend their lives at casinos.
But this casino is going through construction. And so
We couldn't pull up
we cannot
to
pull up
like
to
the front door.
Nope.
So we had to carry our bags from like
We had
a
to,
half mile away.
yes. And then we're like still in our wedding gear and our suitcases. I mean, go through the casino, through the lobby.
Because the door to the actual hotel was closed. So you had to go through the door to the casino and then go into the hotel.
Yeah, which was crazy.
So we're like in our wedding apparel still with all our luggage. Jade's dress had
Oh my
gotten
word,
covered in like spike thingies.
like the stickers that are in like grass and
Yeah.
dirt and stuff.
the whole
Literally
bottom of her
coated.
dress.
My ankles were bleeding. It was just, oh my word, that was so bad. But yeah, so we get up and we get up to the little, what is it called? Like we're checking into the hotel, and because we were still in our stuff, they're like, oh my gosh, did you just get married? And we're like, yeah, and they gave us
breakfast.
free breakfast at the restaurant there, which was super nice. It was actually like, I don't know, I was just really grateful for that because
Yeah.
we
it
didn't
was
even
nice.
really plan out breakfasts or anything like that, but that restaurant was super nice. But yeah, the hotel that we stayed in was really just nice, and we ordered room service, and we got champagne and this little dessert thing.
Like a chocolate mousse thing.
Oh my word, we dream about it every night. It was so good. But also, just those two things was like $50 or something.
Yeah, no, it was like 60, yeah.
But it was worth it. It was the first time I ever had
Yeah.
it, so it was fun. But then what did we do?
Then we went to Kyle. My buddy Kyle had asked what he could do for us for a wedding gift, and I was like, you just want to send me some money for a hotel? So we ended up the next night getting a hotel in like,
Palm Springs or something?
yeah, I don't remember what it was. It was really nice. I was on this cute little lake. It was like a boutique hotel.
Oh, it was so nice.
It was super, super nice. But again, we went to dinner and froze to death because it was super windy and cold.
Yeah, well, and we couldn't eat inside.
Yeah, because of COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But the food was really nice, and we walked to that little like bistro place that we had dinner because it was just right across the street from our hotel. But yeah, that was the cutest little place that we stayed in. The shower was so nice. It was like an open shower. It didn't have like a door or anything. I don't know. I was just amazed by that bathroom. It was just so nice, and the door.
Our back door opened to like a dining area that was outside, like overlooking the lake. So
Yeah.
it was.
I felt like I was rich.
It
Like
wasn't
that.
even that expensive. It was pretty cheap.
It was so nice.
Then we went to Oxnard.
Joshua Tree.
Well, the next day we went to Joshua Tree, yeah, but then the next night we stayed in Oxnard, right?
Yeah.
Which is north of Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cute too. All the places we've stayed were pretty
Yeah.
good.
So we
Except
went.
the
So we
San Diego.
before our wedding we were like we
almost went to Hawaii.
Well, we were debating back and forth whether or not to even have the honeymoon because we literally had no jobs. We were trying to pay for this wedding. We didn't have a house at all. We like literally had nothing planned out. for our actual life after the wedding.
We had
So
a
we're
house.
like, well, that was a month before our wedding. But we're like, is this even smart to have a honeymoon? But everyone was telling us, yeah, like please have one. So to save money, we canceled like some of our Airbnbs and some of our hotels.
Mhm.
That's why we
were gonna camp.
Yeah, we're gonna camp in the car because we had a Subaru.
Yeah.
We made it all
I forgot
bougie to
about
stay
that.
in.
But then as we started actually going,
We're like,
we don't want to spend our honeymoon
we're
in the
not
car.
gonna do that. So we stayed in.
So Kyle gave us money, and then we had money from the wedding and stuff. So
Yeah.
But we stayed in Oxnard, and then
And like a little Airbnb, which was super cute, and they provided a lot of stuff, and it was right next to the beach.
And there's a golden retriever that became friends with us.
Yeah, we had a lot of tacos on this trip. We tried to find like taco places and like new restaurants that we wouldn't usually go to. But that night, it was like 7:00, and like we had finished dinner, and we were back in the Airbnb, and we're like, guess we should go to bed. And we looked at it like 7:00. We're like, what the? So we go to Target and we just hang out at Target.
Yeah.
And then we bought face masks, and then we came back to the Airbnb and we
Yeah,
did
because
some
they had
face
robes. It was nice.
masks. Yeah, it was cute. And then what was it? Next place? It was like
San Diego, right?
yeah.
But we drove down like Highway 1.
Yeah.
Down the Pacific Coast Highway, which was awesome because my dad like grew up in like Oceanside like Carlsbad area, so we like drove through there and it was amazing. We were like, this is where we're gonna live. I like this house and this house.
Yeah.
But we stopped in Dana Point. Remember we stopped and went and looked at tide pools and stuff.
Yeah, that was cute.
And then
Sorry, that's our neighborhood.
and then we went to San Diego and stayed like on the beach again, pretty much. Like this, it was even closer to this time.
Yeah, it really was. Like out of our little win. This was an interesting Airbnb. But out of
She feels bad because you booked it or whatever.
Well, yeah, but you liked it though. Like you liked it because you could just literally walk to the beach right there.
So it was like a little like 1-bedroom. It was almost a studio, but it was under another
Airbnb
home, like, and so like the ceilings were really low and those people were super loud. And so I like one night and like the internet stopped working, but the lady who owned it, like I was able to text her and she's like, oh, they're not supposed to be loud, I'll tell them to quiet down. But we watched like the sunset on the beach.
Yeah, and there was like a dog beach across this little like canal thing.
Yeah.
Oh my word, it was so
You
cute.
could just see them running back and forth.
Yeah, it was cute, but yeah,
We stayed there 2 nights.
Yeah, which was not good.
And then, so our goal was we knew we wanted to go to IKEA.
Well, and your parents gave us a lot of money, and there was a lot of stuff that we still didn't have for our house, and so we needed to get that.
They asked us like what we wanted, and I had mentioned like furniture stuff just because that's probably stuff we'll have with us for like ever. Because she was like, I don't want to give you something that you'll like have for a year and give away. So they gave us an IKEA gift card, and so.
And we had made a list before we went, and we're like, okay, what kind of stuff like do we want to get? And so there was like, and we were like driving back home, and so like we were trying to plan out these trips like to IKEA and like how much stuff we could fit in the car, all this stuff. And so they were like, okay, there's some things that are in the San Diego IKEA, and there's stuff that
in the Phoenix IKEA,
yeah.
which we knew we were gonna go and stay in Phoenix again.
Yeah, we booked the hotel
Literally
right
across the street from IKEA.
IKEA in Phoenix. So
it's IKEA in San Diego in the morning and a Home Depot and got like a plant, a bird of paradise. And then drove all the way to Phoenix and went to IKEA that night.
But
our car was packed.
Oh my word. It was packed from the inside, and then we have a
roof rack on our Subaru that we had just got, and I'm very glad we had it because that also is full of all of our luggage.
Yeah.
Like our Subaru is literally packed with IKEA furniture.
Yeah, and we had to like rearrange. So like we were at IKEA at like super late at night, like having all of our stuff, and we were trying to rearrange in the car. We're like, okay, what
Yeah.
can fit? What was it?
Yeah, it was crazy. So then we drove back with all of our IKEA luggage.
Yeah, I mean it was fun because we had bought some things from IKEA, and we got it shipped here. But this was like
Mhm.
before our honeymoon and all that stuff, like our bed and our side tables and stuff for our room.
But it came while we were on our honeymoon.
Yeah, and my parents bought us a mattress for our wedding present. Thank the Lord. And so while we were away, my parents came and set all that up and set our bed up, and so all we had to do when we came, it was just show up
Yeah,
and
all
everything
the
was,
furniture was set up
yeah,
for
it was
us.
super nice. But yeah, that's our story.
That's our wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
30 minutes.